Yeah, as a kid, I always liked to kind of design and build things out on the farm, and I always liked taking things apart and putting things together, and I enjoyed working on the buildings on the farm. So I think architecture just seemed to be a natural field to go into. For college, when I went at Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, it was a 5-year bachelor degree at the time. A lot of schools are now going to a 4 and 2 master's program, and I think Ball State has changed as well. So I don't know if there's too many more that have just a bachelor's anymore, but essentially you just have to have an architecture degree, be it bachelor's or master's, and then you have to work so many hours under licensed architect. And then once you have achieved those hours, and the hours are in different categories, where some's in design, some's in construction, and so you kind of get full experience of everything an architect does. Then you have to sit for the architecture exams, which again, when I did it, it was 9 tests. I think it's I don't even know what it is now. I think it's down to 6 or 7. But you have to go through all those tests, and once you've passed all those tests, then you can receive your license to practice on your own or for a firm. Well, the fun thing about architecture is there's a lot of different areas of the field you can kind of specialize in. Some people who like more of the design and kind of what we call front end stuff, where they're working on what the building looks like and the aesthetics of it and the materials, they may kind of focus all on that. And then some people focus like working with the contractor to actually build the building and construct it. And then there's kind of the element in the middle where you take that design and then you develop the drawings for the contractor. So you can really, if you're at a smaller place, you can kind of do everything from design to working with the contractor, or if you're for a bigger firm, you can actually specialize and do kind of always do the design or always do the documents or the construction. So I'm kind of in the project management area where I'm involved in the design, but I'm managing people who are doing the designing, and then I'm working with the client, and then we develop the documents, and then I'm the one out on the job site with the contractor and the owner, making sure everything's built right and answering any questions that come up when something needs to be interpreted or we run into an issue that wasn't anticipated. So that's kind of my day-to-day. Right now I have 2 projects I'm working on that are in what's called CA, or construction administration, which means they're being built right now. So I'm doing a lot of travel where I go out to the job sites and work the contractor and work with the owner and walk the building and make sure everything's being built right. I enjoy working with the owner and developing the design early on, but I think my favorite part is kind of being there towards the end when everything's really coming together and the building's out of the ground and starting to look like the final product, and seeing a lot of times you'll tour with the owner or different users of the spaces, and just seeing their excitement of the new building that's almost open, and everybody's looking at their new spaces and excited to occupy the new building. So it's kind of fun to be there at the end and the ribbon cutting and just seeing the appreciation of all the work we put into building the building. So when you have the documents and you have to develop them, and in the construction documents are kind of like an instruction manual. Like if you ever buy IKEA furniture, you have the little booklet that tells you how to put everything together. That's kind of, we create one of those documents for the contractor, so they buy all the materials and then look at our documents on how to put it together. And there's just a lot of little details, and if it's a really big building, there's like hundreds of doors in it, and all the door hardware is very meticulous, and that's and I have to review all that to make sure it's right and in the right place and on the right door. And that's probably, the really detailed stuff takes a long time, and that's probably my least favorite. my specialty is in healthcare. So I do hospitals and medical office buildings. I mean, when you say design, I'm part of the team. I'm not necessarily the only person designing, but probably the coolest building I've been involved with is we did a big patient tower expansion in Kansas City for the University of Kansas Hospital. And it was when we're done, it was a 13-story building. And it was the tallest building in Kansas City, Kansas, on the Kansas side. And it was just a big new tower that was the, kind of, the icon for the campus. And it was a big building that everybody was excited to work in. So that one was pretty cool. And you don't have to specialize. It's just when you get in some of the bigger firms like I am, it's, and healthcare is one of those where it's just a lot of specialty knowledge that, it takes to know how to kind of put together a hospital and what all goes on in the hospital. So it's kind of, once you kind of learn how to do all that, you kind of end up kind of specializing in that. And I do enjoy it. I mean, it's something that I don't feel like I'm stuck doing that, but it's something I enjoy and have that knowledge. But like within our firm, our office, we do a big healthcare sector, but we also have corporate commercial, which are like office buildings and any type of commercial businesses. And then we also have higher education and athletics. So we can do a lot of colleges and gyms and arenas and natatoriums and kind of stuff like that. And then, but I mean, that's kind of what our office does. But I mean, you can specialize in anything from, elementary schools to hotels to amusement parks, or, I mean, it's really, or residential, kind of anything you want to do. So I've enjoyed the sector I'm in, because it's kind of, like I said, it's big buildings. It's clients that, have money to do kind of cool things. And then also just, at the end of the day, I feel like I've, built something that benefits society and that it helps, doctors deliver care for the community. Our architectural license has to be renewed every 2 years. And so we have the AIA, or the American Institute of Architects, which I'm a member of, requires continuing education credits in both construction and we have points which are called health, safety, and welfare, which are kind of like just the newest things on fire codes and accessibility, and then so essentially they want you to stay up to date on the current codes and regulations as they develop and as things change. And it's also cool to just learn about new products when new materials or new cladding or something for a building comes out, that you can learn about it and see the possibilities you can do with it and do some cool stuff. So it's required so many hours per our licensing term that we have to do. We have a lot of times we'll have product reps or companies that develop and sell products will come to our office and have like a lunch, box lunch kind of thing, and do a presentation over the lunch hour, and we can learn about that, and we'll get 1 credit for that. The AA also has a big architectural convention every year that you can go to, and it has a bunch of seminars and different classes you can go to and get points for, or get your hour credits, as well as there's just online resources. If you're towards the end and need to get some credits, you can do online testing and stuff. And that's for the architecture license. We also have, I'm a lead accredited architect, which is kind of green construction, of being more energy efficient and using greener materials and being less wasteful. There's a whole separate credit requirement to maintain a lead certification. So I was in all 10 years of 4-H, and I took a lot of different projects. I showed dairy cattle, and I think that taught me responsibility and accountability, and in time planning. You needed to make sure you'd work with your animal enough to have it broke to lead by fair time, or you learn that lesson the hard way if you don't. I took model rocketry and electrical and stuff like that. Kind of taught me about design and detail and attention to detail and assembly and kind of building stuff. I took baking, which teaches you how to measure and follow instructions, and recipes are kind of similar to construction documents at the end of the day. So just being in 4-H, I think taught me was just working with other people and having healthy competition for projects where you're competing with someone, but you're also when we're showing cattle, compete in the ring and you would hope to win, but you would be happy for the other people that you showed with when they had success, and I guess just being a good sport and learning how to play well with others is just a good life lesson for anybody. And in architecture, when you're working with the contractor or working with the owner of the project, sometimes the contractor's incentives to do something are different than yours. So you just need to learn to work well with everybody and not have an adversarial relationship. And I think one of the things I did early on when I was in high school is I was lucky enough that my high school had a drafting program. So I took that, and that was when I was there back in the kind of mid to late 90s. It was we were just kind of working with AutoCAD and some of the earlier computer software where now everything's building information modeling, and you build everything in 3D on the computer. So any type of computer drafting classes or stuff like that, I think is beneficial. Also through that class, I had the opportunity to work for a local architect like after school as a draftsman, and also out on the job site, which that's what I try to tell anybody who's interested in architecture is to get a summer job just working as for a contractor or out on the job site. I mean, being young, you'll just be a laborer having to do kind of the grunt work, but you get to see stuff come together, and you get to see how buildings are put together and how components are used. And so when you're in your career sitting at the desk and drawing lines, you know exactly what each line means and how it needs to go together. And so I think that's very valuable, because there were a lot of students or classmates in college that when I went that had no idea how some things even looked or went together out on the field. So it's just having that background and knowledge, even if you want to do more of the design and the front end stuff, just knowing how materials are used and how they can be constructed is very valuable.